mermaids are real. Don't believe me? Well, what about this recent sighting in Australia? I mean, a mermaid literally washed up on a beach there. In July 2023, photos of a creature resembling a mermaid alien washed ashore on an Australian beach. Now, the image came to light via a post in the Marine Biology Facebook group, and it was exactly like a mermaid shape, said uploader Bobby Lee Oates, 34, of the skeletal remains, which she stumbled across while walking along the beach in Couple Sands, Queensland. "We were driving along the beach looking for a campsite, and we couldn't help but notice how much the skull looked to be in the shape of a human," she recalled. "So we instantly stopped from the confusion as to what the hell this could be, and why does this look like a human skull?" Now, Bobby Lee, who estimated that the creature was 6 feet long, described it by saying it had a human-shaped skull with an elongated jawline, and hair similar to the color of a cow or kangaroo, but with hair missing in many places due to decomposition. She continued by saying it was exactly like a mermaid shape, but hairy, because it seemed to have a tail or limb of some sort. Now, she posted the image to try to figure out what the creature was, but never got a definitive answer. So could this be some sort of mermaid? I think so. Then there were the soldiers who saw a type of mermaid. During World War II, Japanese soldiers were stationed in the Key Islands in Indonesia and had some weird encounters with what they said were mermaids. Now, the local villagers were familiar with these creatures and called them orang-iken, which translates to manfish. Now, these creatures were described as being around 150 centimeters tall, having spikes on the spine, shoulder, and neck. They were said to have pink salmon-colored skin and a mouth that resembled a carp. Now, rather than having a fishtail, these creatures had long arms and frog-like legs, both of which had talons at the end. Now, the Japanese soldiers recorded many different sightings, saying they even saw one on land, but they mostly seemed at home in the water. For one instance, a troop of soldiers claimed to see one of these creatures jump out of the water onto a nearby rock. Now, it turned and faced the soldiers and let out a gurgling, burping noise that didn't seem to be too friendly. Then they saw another creature moving smoothly in the water towards them as fast as any fish would. Now, not knowing the intention of the creatures, the soldiers started shooting at the rocks and into the water, only to have the creatures disappear from view. Now, a sergeant named Mr. Taro spoke to the villagers and requested if any of the orang-iken were captured, dead or alive, to contact him immediately. It was soon after that the chief summoned the general and, to his astonishment, saw with his own eyes the lifeless aquatic creature. Now, he described what he saw as roughly 4 foot 9 inches tall, pinkish skin, human-looking face and limbs, spikes along its head, and a mouth like a carp. Now, this just sounds like something out of a horror movie. Absolutely terrifying.
Next on the list is the cave dive. This video was uploaded to YouTube by Suerte Malsuerte, who stated that he'd been cave diving in a cenote cave near Cancun when he spotted something that looked a lot like a mermaid. A beautiful piece of footage here, by the way. We watch as he descends into the cave, diving underwater, and as he swims further into the depths, something swims by, right under one of his buddy's feet. Unlike some of the other footage on this list, this one is pretty clear. Hard to look at this creature and see anything else but a mermaid. Is this woman in a very solid mermaid costume though, or do you think this is genuine? From Ladder Towel 9403 comes a story about an incredibly disturbing fishing trip. I was fishing in a river about 1.5 miles from my grandmother's house. I'd always walked there and fished from the bank where I'd gone since I was young. I was down fishing with my dog Josie, and I was sitting and leaning against a tree. Then my bobber went down hard and my rod almost went out of my hands. I figured I had a bass or catfish. For some reason though, I started following my line as if something was drawing me in. Josie was freaking out, yelling and even biting my leg trying to get me back, but I kept following it almost like I was in a trance. Then something broke the surface of the water right in front of me. All I could see was this torso with a greenish brown head, and I saw its hand, yes, a hand, was pulling my line towards it, and I was so scared but couldn't stop as it continued to pull me closer. Josie was between us, barking and snapping at it, and suddenly I was able to go back towards the bank, leaving everything. I saw it grab Josie, and going for my blade, I cut the line, grabbed Josie, and ran out of the water. I heard a weird slapping sound and a grunt, and I just kept running until I was almost home. Josie was hurt One of her ears were almost gone. Finally though, I got to the house. I was crying and threw her in the car and went straight to the vet. Still wet and shaking, I told the vet something got her and waited anxiously until he came back and said that she was lucky, that he had extracted a tooth from her skull. He said it looked like an alligator tooth, but I knew better. I never told my family about what happened, but I knew damn well it wasn't an alligator. In 2009, a story came out about a series of mermaid sightings in Israel. The mayor of the small coastal town of Kiryat Yam was offering $1 million to whoever could prove the creature's existence. Now, the sightings didn't start in 2009. There had been reports of a mermaid-like creature for years before, but in the summer of that year, reports had been rising dramatically. The creature would often appear at sunset and perform a few tricks in the water before diving deeper into the depths. One man, Shlomo Cohen, described having spotted it, saying, "I was with friends when suddenly we saw a woman lying on the sand in a weird way. First I thought she was just another sunbather, but when we approached, she jumped into the water and disappeared. We were all in shock because we saw she had a tail." Redditor Cornholio69666, great name, posted their story about almost being dragged under the water by something. They wrote, "I'm living in the Caribbean in Utila, Honduras. Once I was in Neptune's, one of the most virgin beaches here, and I was just swimming, not even diving or snorkeling, and I felt a hand pulling me. And I have long hair to my shoulders. I'm 6'5", so it started pulling my hair. Obviously I panicked, and my two friends were looking at me like, what the F is going on? So I got back to the dock, and then I spot a remora. They have a soft tissue that makes suction, and that's how they cling to sharks and whales. But I've never encountered a fish that pulls down. My friend is a diving instructor, and she got into the water. The remora never got close to her, but it touched my legs, arms, it pulled my hair. My diving instructor friend vouches for my mermaid story, and I believe in them, honestly. And finally, we have the Australian mermaid sighting. Now, despite what you may think about the validity of this piece of footage, you cannot deny how darn beautiful it looks. And not just the supposed mermaid either, the bright blue, the abundance of the marine life, the sound of the water. It's an oddly relaxing video. We've looked at some dark stuff in this list, so this is a nice one to leave on. So our camera person is doing a dive, filming the beautiful waters before panning over to observe something swimming through the water. It looks like your classic mythological mermaid. It has a long fishy tail, and we also briefly see human-looking arms moving gracefully through the water before swimming out of sight deeper into the murkiness of the depths. Whether this was a real mermaid sighting or not, personally I err on the side of yes, but it's a lot of unexplored ocean out there. Whether or not it's a genuine thing, it's pretty cool. I really do hope that it's real, at the very least.
First up, we have the Australia sighting. A video that was uploaded in 2010 has recently resurfaced that was taken at the Great Barrier Reef. The footage shows a mysterious creature, a mermaid, swimming in the distance. Now the video has more than 2.7 million views, and there's another video as well from the same person which has more than 4 million views. The narrator of the video explains how he went to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia to test an underwater cage that he had recently bought. 2 films were recorded, explains the narrator. He said he was testing out his camera and how to operate it, and he felt something behind him. He added that he only spotted the mermaid after he watched the footage on the computer. He never saw her in real life. Now he claims that the video is real, not edited, not faked. Some people are claiming it's just a human in a costume, but I don't know. It looks pretty real to me. Up next, we have the Canada sighting. In June 1967, a mermaid was spotted on Main Island. She was seen in the early evening by passengers on ferries close to the west entrance to Active Pass. The Daily Colonist reported the sightings and included a photograph. Several witnesses said the mermaid had a large fish, apparently coho salmon, and one swore she had taken a bite out of it, the Colonist said on June 13th, 1967. Long silver blonde hair and topless condition were generally agreed upon. Now the next day, the Colonist referred to her as the dimpled mermaid and said that she had the lower body of a fish or porpoise. The newspaper said she had been at Helen Point and had been seen eating a large salmon. A Cobble Hill man who flew over the area shortly after 7 p.m. managed to get an aerial photograph which which reportedly corresponded closely to another photo taken. Then on June 15th, the newspaper reported that a $25,000 reward would be offered for the dimpled mermaid of active past. The offer was made by Charles White of the Undersea Gardens, who added that a panel of competent marine biologists would have to confirm that the mermaid was the real thing. He also promised to negotiate a contract with the mermaid. "I think we could come to terms. We would offer a substantial salary, room and board, and a supply of those special combs that mermaids use," he said. Now unfortunately, no mermaid came forward, and the story kind of just disappeared. Now let's talk about the Spain sightings. While it's rare to even see a mermaid, spotting a mermaid in the same place twice is even more rare. But it seems like Spain is the place for this to happen. Travelers on a cruise noticed a figure sitting on a distant rock deep within the ocean. Upon closer observation, it became clear that this figure was a mermaid, sunbathing and relaxing. They recorded the video in Mallorca, Spain. Then this other video was taken by two friends who were surfing together. They were just recording each other and having fun, but it seems like they actually caught a mermaid on film too. You can see its tail coming out of the water and going back in. Now as they both spot the creature in the water, you can tell that they're scared and they decide to leave, which was probably the best option because they would not want to get dragged underwater by that thing. Now the most recent sighting is the 2023 sighting. In this extremely viral TikTok clip, seafarer who goes by the username @sauce.90 on social media, his real name being Ryan Coleman, filmed two mysterious figures swimming by his boat as it traveled through the choppy waves. Now as he records, his voice can be heard saying, "What are those? What's going on?" Pointing the camera at the sea, he notes, "Something swimming fast underneath the water, something swimming real fast." Now everyone in the comments believes it's mermaids that are keeping up with his ship. Now a strange wailing can be heard in the background as he asks the camera, "What the F is that noise, bro? What is that noise?" Then as he continues to remark that he can hear the strange intruders, a shrieking voice announces, "Jump for me." Now just hearing it creeps me out. Just listen. Now how he was able to stay calm after hearing that is beyond me.
This is a piece of supposed mermaid footage captured in Spain. It was taken back in 2013. A man was filming the scenery while cruising around on a tour boat in Mallorca, but something odd showed up on camera. Sitting on a mound of rocks just off the shore was a very odd-looking creature. It had an elongated tail and a bit of a bluish hue, obviously an aquatic animal, but zooming in closer, this thing looks unlike any known animal in the world. The upper part of the body appears to be kinda human-like, with two humanoid arms and a round head, and at first you think that it's completely still, almost like it could be a sculpture or something, but as you can see, it does move its arms. So is this a genuine piece of mermaid footage, or is it just a hoax done with CGI? Is someone sitting in a fish suit out there? As for every piece of footage on this list, let us know down in the comments what your thoughts are. This next one's kinda sad because it's a dead mermaid, or at least it could be. Folks aren't really sure what this thing is, to be honest, but it certainly creeped out a lot of people. Just back in July of 2023, mysterious remains washed ashore on an Australian beach along the shores of Keppel Sands, Queensland. A local named Bobby Lee Oates stumbled on these skeletal remains that have not been definitively identified. But what a lot of folks online started commenting was that these skeletal remains had almost mermaid-like features, describing the find as approximately 6 feet in length, with a human-shaped skull, an elongated jawline, and distinctive hair reminiscent of a cow or kangaroo, albeit with a lot of decomposition. Oates shared her findings with the Marine Biology Facebook group. The remains also appeared to possess a tail or limb of some kind. Rob DeVille, an expert from the UK Cetacean Strandings Investigation Program, cautiously weighed in on these images, saying that the possibility of it being the remains of a small cetacean species was high, but he couldn't fully confirm because of his unfamiliarity with the typical marine life in the area, and of course, just how decomposed the thing was. One of the scariest versions versions of the mermaid myth has to be the ningen, a creature that people in Japan have actually reported seeing over the past few years. So in recent years, rumors have spread in Japan about mysterious humanoid creatures known as ningen, which are said to live in the icy waters of the Antarctic. These creatures are said to be completely white and can grow between 20 to 30 meters long. Witnesses have described them having a human-like shape with arms, legs, and sometimes even 5-fingered hands. Some say they have fins or tails, kinda like mermaids, or tentacles. In one sighting, the crew of a whale research ship thought they saw a foreign submarine, but when they got closer, they realized that what they were actually looking at was a living creature, which quickly vanished underwater. Then in November of 2007, an issue of MU magazine included a Google Earth screenshot that seemed to show one in the South Atlantic Ocean. The Japanese government has been rumored to be keeping detailed records of sightings, but of course, they haven't released any information to the public. Eyewitnesses are reportedly instructed to stay silent. From Reddit user OldSupermarket5657 comes a tale I'm going to call the Lightning Mermaid, and goes as follows. In 2021, I was in Montego Bay, Jamaica. I was sitting on the beach alone during a silent lightning storm at night, and all of a sudden I felt this intense urge to run into the water. Mind you, I don't swim. After a while, the urge intensified and I stupidly went to put my feet in the water. I remember the water was bubbling and it was pitch black, and I immediately felt this sense of dread and danger and ran back out of the water. After getting out, I went back to sit down on my folding chair, and out of nowhere, a bolt of lightning lit up the sky and the sea, and I saw a big black figure with long hair not too far away from me, just staring at me from the water. After the lightning was gone, the figure was nowhere to be found. I sat there for a half an hour trying to figure out what I'd just seen, but it never happened again. I really believe that it was a mermaid trying to take me out into the sea. Next up is a very creepy piece of footage. Again, this is a mermaid carcass, or at least that's really what it looks like. The footage was taken after a hurricane. We watch as our camera person walks along a beach. Trees and debris are scattered across the sand, but then the camera lands on something fishy having washed ashore. At first it looks like it's just a large fish, but the longer you look at it, you realize there's a head of hair on it. Our brave cameraman walks closer to the beached creature, and we see what looks to be a mummified mermaid. It has bony human-looking arms and, most horrifyingly, a human-looking head. Again, very grotesque and mummified. And this is probably not how you'd like to imagine coming across a mythical creature. Now, of course, something like this could be faked. Special effects prosthetics are pretty convincing sometimes, but even if it is faked, it's very well done. One of the top comments in the video posted by Cajun2197 states the following: "I've seen real mummies. This looks frighteningly real. The skin pulled back around the mouth as it dried, bulging eyes, taut cheekbones, the ribs and pelvis under dark dried flesh, the fins brittle, exactly like a dead fish dying in the sun." There was another video by someone else filming this creature when it was less decomposed. The arm was more intact and the cheek was not rotting out. Now, if this is fake, someone went to a great deal of trouble to do this. And why? What I find interesting about that comment, aside from the description of how realistic this thing looks, is that someone else also filmed this thing. That means the person filming this video may have not been involved with the hoax, if it is indeed a hoax. Pretty interesting video, but again, what do you all think?
Now, fishermen don't get scared too easily, as they see a lot of scary things being out in the middle of the ocean, but I doubt any of them ever thought that they would come face to face with a mermaid. Yep, you heard that right. Some fishermen accidentally caught a mermaid. In an alarming video, it appears that some fishermen caught a mermaid in a net, and they were so shocked that they accidentally dropped it back into the water. A clearly humanoid arm with a webbed hand reached back at them from the net, as if trying to grab the men. Now, the men lean back to avoid it, and the net slips and falls back into the ocean, with the mermaid escaping and them being left with questions. Now, is this legit? I think so. A user commented this on the video, and I agree. They said this video is amazing, almost a real proof about the existence of mermaids. Notice that the camera is unsteady, and it means that the situation took them by surprise. The creature trapped in the net is powerful and so desperate to get rid of it, and its aspect cannot correspond to a human being or any other animal. Now, it's understandable that the fishermen got in a panic and let it go back into the sea, but that was just so creepy. And finally, we have another story about an Australian mermaid, except this one is alive and well. A short clip was posted online of what could be a mermaid swimming among a reef. In 2007, a diver off the coast of Australia claimed to have encountered a real-life mermaid. In the footage, we see a diver filming a school of tropical fish in an unknown reef, and in the distance we see a humanoid figure swim towards the camera. Now it appears to be half human, half fish, with a long scale-covered tail. The enormous fins appear to propel the creature effortlessly through the water. When the clip was uploaded to the internet, it caused a speculative frenzy, as some herald the footage as strong evidence of mermaids. Now analysts have noticed that the creature swims easily through the water without the use of its arms, and instead it uses its long fin tail to glide forwards. Now could this diver have actually captured a real mermaid swimming in the sea? I think so. Are mermaids really out there hiding in our waters? I guess that's up to you to decide. There have been a lot of mermaid encounters out there, and people have had some terrifying experiences. Sauce90 is a TikToker who just so happens to work on these giant boats in the ocean. Now he's had a lot of terrifying encounters with some sort of creatures out there, and many think these creatures are mermaids or sirens. Now he recorded a video with two creatures swimming on either side of the huge ship. Now they were moving very quickly, keeping up the pace, which is honestly insane. He knew that they weren't dolphins or anything and asked people for help in identifying them, and a lot of people speculated, hey, these could be mermaids. Then there was another video he made with these same two swimming creatures, and they were making the strangest noises ever. Now this made people think that they were sirens, as sirens are said to sing songs to hypnotize sailors and make them go into the water. Now the noises are truly unsettling, and in one clip you can hear one of them say, "Jump for me." I would go back inside the boat and never come out again, because again, that is just terrifying and freaky and makes me think that they're evil. Then there was the mermaid story from Tony Woods. Tony is a comedian, but I can promise you he wasn't joking about any of this. Now when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he explained that he had seen a mermaid, or what he calls a merman, in real life in Seychelles, Africa. He was with a little French boy, and people in the community said don't swim in the lagoon after dark. He then said that there was a lot of people at the bar and that he and the boy raced down to the lagoon, which they were warned about, but they didn't listen. While down there, they saw something swimming fast and it then jumped out of the water. He said it was at least 10 to 12 feet long and made eye contact with him. Now obviously the pair got scared and went back to the bar where everyone was, but no one believed them. The boy's mother apologized, saying he had an overactive imagination, but Tony swears that he saw this creature too. He said it wasn't a mermaid, but a merman, that it had dark skin and was half human, half fish. His head was humanoid, eyes were so big. Now Tony says he's not the only one to have seen something like that in the area, which makes him believe what he saw was even more real. And I mean, the way that he tells this story, the body language, the inflection, it just feels so real to me. And we do know that there have been multiple sightings in Africa of mermaids, and all I can say is at least Tony had a witness with him when he saw what he saw, but wow, what a crazy story. And then a user on Reddit told this story that is absolutely terrifying. They said that they saw a mermaid once in 2004 when they were in Jamaica. They were at a bridge called Flat Bridge, which is known for its mermaid sightings. Now they decided to go close to the water, and as they got closer, they saw a woman resting beside a rock. They described her as having her hair being red and her skin very dark. Now as they got closer, they realized that she was a fishy type of woman with dark eyes. Now this obviously scared the user, and they said they almost passed out from fear. They then screamed "mermaid" over and over and over again, and the creature became scared and swam away really fast. Now the user thought that they were going crazy, but spoke to the locals, who told them that mermaids do exist and that it's normal in Jamaica. They then said not to get too close or the mermaids could take you underwater, and yeah, I think I'd have the same reaction as this person, because that is terrifying. Now onto the Israel sighting. In 2009, dozens of locals near Kiryat Yam, Israel claimed to see a mermaid off the shore at sunset. Now these sightings went on for some time before the local media got involved. The onlookers said the creature resembled a young girl and would often visit the beach and do tricks in the water. Eventually, the Israeli government noticed all the attention and issued a $1 million reward for anyone who could provide proof of the mermaid. Now this didn't include capturing, it simply required an authentic photo. Now no one ever came forward, but in 2013, the most compelling piece of evidence to date was a video shot by two tourists. Now the pair thought they had spotted a seal on a rock just off the coast, but as the camera zoomed in, it became clear it wasn't a seal. It was a mermaid. Now despite the evidence looking real, the prize money has not yet been handed out, but hey, that footage looks real to me. Give those people their money, it's only fair. Let's discuss the Zimbabwe sighting. Mermaids don't really like being around humans, and I can't say that I blame them. Now this was made extremely clear in the case of the Zimbabwe dam workers in 2012, who were trying to install a water pump which was crucial to the local agriculture. Now local divers and workers were hired to see what was blocking the pump, and when they surfaced, they vowed to never return. Why? Because there was a mermaid there. Sam Sipia Nkoma, a water resource minister, told the Senate committee that the village chiefs could perform an ancient ritual to get rid of the mermaid and calm the workers' anxiety, but they still refused to return after the ritual was performed. Now being skeptical of the workers' reasons for quitting, the government hired outside help as they thought this belief was cultural, but the new workers reported the same thing and refused to finish the repairs. Now to this day, the dam is still not finished. And hey, I wouldn't mess with a mermaid either. I think it's best that they left it alone. Next up, we have the Hawaii sighting. The island of Hawaii has plenty of folklore and legends around beautiful aquatic creatures, and the mermaid is one of them. For more than 50 years, people have reported seeing a mermaid off the coast of Hawaii's Big Island. But the sightings were never taken seriously until a dive boat captain finally captured the half-woman, half-fish on camera. Dive master Jeff Liker photographed the creature known as the Kauai Point Mermaid on April 12, 1998, as he and 6 other divers were exploring the ocean bottom about 20 minutes off Hawaii's sunny Kona coast. As Jeff was photographing some underwater life, a mermaid brushed up against him while swimming and turned back around just in time for him to snap a few pictures. He said, "I feel very lucky that I'm the one to finally prove to the world what people here have known for half a century. The Kauai Point Mermaid is real." Now, this wasn't the only time he spotted the mermaid, as just a few hours before, he saw what looked like a nude woman swimming with a pod of dolphins. The woman was able to keep up the pace with the dolphins, which Jeff thought was odd. All of a sudden, she jumped into the air and he realized that she had the lower half of a fish. Now, 10 people on a boat witnessed this incident, but the mermaid disappeared after just 2 jumps out of the water. And lastly, we have the Minnesota sighting. A mysterious video claims to show the moment a mermaid was pulled from the water, prompting claims the mythical creatures do exist. The clip shows a green tail floating in the water and a figure being put onto a stretcher. The video was taken by an Australian tourist on a beach in Minnesota, but the precise location is unknown. According to Paranormal Elite, a YouTube channel which was sent the footage, the person who filmed it stayed behind after the beach was cleared. The man, identified only as Mackie, said large vehicles arrived with some people wearing yellow hazmat suits to protect them from dangerous materials. A Paranormal Elite spokesman said, "The creature seen bears striking resemblance to the mermaids depicted in fictional stories. There remains a mystery whether or not mermaids do inhabit lakes in Minnesota. After all, what happens when the lake freezes in the winter?" The enthusiast continued, "I urge everyone to keep an open mind and come to a conclusion yourself. If this is in fact fake, the question arises as to why anyone would go to such lengths to hoax a video like this. Now, I honestly don't know if this is real or not, it truly just stumps me."